Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 198 of a year of change. Today I am not quite on the ball. I'm a little dopey right now. I'm still tired. Still waking up, oddly enough. And I've been just sort of going back and forth in my head as to what I'm going to talk about. Normally I have things prepared a little bit in advance, but I've been sort of flip-flopping because yesterday I went way over. Like, way overboard. To a point where I suppose it's not as bad as I used to eat. I want to say that in my head. I went insanely. I still did my treadmill. Still accounted for that, but I still went over by quite a bit. And it wasn't a matter of being bored or anything else. It was just legitimate. I was legitimately hungry. But the stuff that I ate was very dense, very high calorie stuff, and I really shouldn't have. And it got to a point when I said, I have to stop. I'm going to just keep eating and eating and eating. So it was going to talk about that, and then talking about what sort of that brings along with it. Because we've talked about it before where we're saying, what do you do to resist those days? And if it happens, then it happens, and don't beat yourself up. It's a little easier to say than to do. Because it's not the same as me just sitting down and eating to capacity. When I was done, I was still somewhat hungry. I wasn't full. I was just, okay, I need to stop because it's ridiculous the amount that I'm going over. And to give you an idea, I actually just weighed myself, and I know we are supposed to do it week by week, but I weighed myself yesterday and then this morning, and I gained 2 pounds in a day. And I know some of that is because the food is still in there because I ate very, very late last night. But it's still, that's 2 pounds that you think, I haven't lost 2 pounds. I didn't lose 2 pounds last week. So I've, not to make that up. And I know we sort of had this discussion last week as well about just sort of going too far the other way. And so that's sort of why I wanted to talk about the other aspect of it, which was that where I've sort of felt, well, I'm not really making enough progress the way that I would like. Obviously, I know you're all going, well, you're eating too much, obviously. You're still doing it. This was the first time this has happened in months. So, it's weird because on one hand you think, well, I'm not losing quickly enough and I want to lose more and I want to do this, but I want to stay on target on what we're doing. And then you have a day like yesterday. So it's a little difficult to sort of, reconcile the two. And I can't very well sit here and say, oh, well, here's what you need to do and this and this and this. And then if I'm having a day like that, then to not say anything to anyone. There are times I've gone over, but it's always been very small amounts, usually less than 100 calories. I think there was one day that I was over 200 a while ago, but that was quite a while ago. But generally, it's something like it's, coffee that's put me over, or it's because I waited too long and I didn't track properly, and so it usually just puts me over. And I know in my head I'm sort of saying, well, I'm taking off I'm not taking off as much for the treadmill. It wouldn't have mattered. I went way over. So, and again, it wasn't that I just ate cookies and candies and cakes and everything and just filled myself until I got sick like I used to. It was just that, I had sausage and there were 300 calories each. So now I feel like I'm making excuses. This is the thing that I'm trying to figure out, is that it wasn't out of boredom. It wasn't an emotional thing. I was hungry, so I decided to eat. And I did. I went way over on it. And I don't want to say that it's one of those things that I could say, well, technically I did this, so it's okay. It's not an excuse. I'm just explaining what happened. But almost choked and died for a second. Trying to sort of bring that out and still be supportive is really difficult, because when you're trying to say, well, in the long run, we're trying to lose weight, so we need to do this and sort of cut back on fats and sodium and sugar and watch what we eat and eat more fruits and vegetables and exercise. And then having a day like that is just really frustrating. And it's not that, again, it sounds like I'm just saying, oh, it's not fair, because no, I'm not. It's my own fault for doing it. But at the same time, I think, yes, but I didn't want to get to a point where, You're just, oh, I'm so hungry, but I can't have anything to eat. I better have some lemon water or something. I know that we are trying to lose weight. I know that that is a part of it. But once you sort of start down that restricting, that didn't come out right at all, restriction of food, then it turns into a diet. And again, I feel like I'm making an excuse that I'm just going, well, no, I had to eat because I didn't, obviously. Now, I know that during the rest of the week, I'll be fine. That it's not going to be a week of overeating. In my head, anyway. I tell myself that. But there is that sincere worry that because before I was saying, well, I'm not losing as much as I should. There is a genuine concern that I think, am I going back to what I was doing before? Is this like the first step towards that? And it does. It's making me anxious. And I know all I have to do is just say, no, it's fine. Don't, again, just like follow my own advice, basically. Don't beat yourself up over it. Yes, it was bad. You shouldn't have done it. You know that it set you back. But just pick up during the rest of the week and, not make up for it by doubling on the exercise or cutting back and having 200 calories for the day. Just get back on track. Follow what you should be doing. And if you lose, you lose. If you don't, you don't. As long as you're staying on track, eventually those pounds will come off. And that's what I have to keep telling myself, because it's very tough when you have that one day to not necessarily go back to, or avoid going back to what you were doing before, because I don't think it's a matter of me saying, well, this is the first day of the rest of my life when I'm just going to start eating again. It still would be very easy for me to do that. If I wasn't tracking things, if I wasn't talking to you folks, it would be that way. That's what would end up happening. I know it would, because I would have no accountability. I wouldn't have any motivation to do it. I would just say screw it and just sit and eat. I don't think it would. See, in my head, I want to say that I don't think it would be as bad, but I don't know, and that concern is what sort of is keeping me going right now, to a point where I think, okay, no, have a proper breakfast and, go to work, stay on schedule that way, and just follow the routine that has become sort of part of what we've been doing for the past few months, and I should be fine. But it does bring up something that, I don't think I'm in any real risk of, going way too far overboard the other way and saying, good, I'm cutting my calories down to 500, I'm going to jog 10 miles a day, and, drink nothing but water. It'll be fine. It's not that bad. I don't have any risk of me saying, well, I have to stop eating and, I need to make up for lost time and lose all the weight very, very quickly. I want to stay, on track the way that we have been doing, because I want to maintain that balance. Obviously, yesterday it's a write-off. I still have to include it with all the stuff that we're doing, and it probably has set me back a little bit, but again, it's one of those things that, no, I just pick up where I left off. Yes, I had a bad day. That was it. So if you're running into that where you've had something like that, and it is really tough when you have a bad day like that, to just sort of get back on the horse and say, okay, I'm just going to pick up where I left off, but without trying to make up for the added weight or the extra food or the loss of the exercise. If it's one of your exercise days and you skipped it for whatever reason, the reason doesn't really matter. I mean, you can try to say, well, no, I was busy and I had to. The reason doesn't matter. It could be something as simple as, well, no, I was in the hospital, or no, I didn't feel like it. It still got skipped. It's not the end of the world. Just when you get back on track, as soon as you can, don't make up for it. Don't try to say, well, I need to do double what I was supposed to do yesterday. Just pick up where you left off, because the path that we've been on, the stuff that we've been doing, and I want to say the format of our plan works. We know it works because we've lost weight. Doubling up because you missed a day is not going to make it any better. Just maintaining that schedule, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'm trying to think of the program, journey, whatever you want to call it. Maintaining what we've been doing will still work. This week, obviously, not going to have as much progress, but that one day is not enough to break me. It's not enough to break what we've been doing. It's not enough to sort of, set things out of control As long as I don't let it. As long as I don't say, well, obviously this day is gone, so I've gained 2 pounds and the week is fucked, so I might as well just eat whatever I want. No, it's just I may not lose this week. I have to accept that up front. I can't imagine that one day is going to throw the entire week off. But as long as I'm back on track and doing what we should be doing, it should be okay. We don't need to go overboard the other way. So if you have one of those days like that, then just keep that in mind and say, okay, you know what? Yeah, admit to it and just say, yeah, I fucked up that day for whatever reason. It was just a bad day. So today and moving on, just go back to what I was doing the day before yesterday. And it should be fine. We don't need to, kill ourselves. We don't need to beat ourselves up, figuratively kill ourselves. And literally, I should say, I suppose. But we don't need to say, well, then obviously I need to make up for lost time, because it's just, then that sort of gets into a pattern of, well, I can have a cheat day once in a while as long as I make up for it. And I don't want to get into that. Having a cheat day once in 2 months, or when was the last time I think I went over like 200 calories once, and I can't remember what it was. I'm going to say it was a month ago, just for the sake of argument, so that we can move on, and I won't sit here for 10 minutes going, Anyway, so let's say a month ago I went over by 200 calories. So having a day like that, like a day like yesterday, is well beyond. I think I should have checked before I started this. I'm pretty sure I went over by 1,000 or more. It was just very high calorie, dense foods that didn't really satisfy. It was like hot dogs and macaroni and cheese and sausage is what I had for the day. So it wasn't just like nonstop eating. They were meals. It's just that I had been up for so long and had another meal, which put me over. I was fine until about 11 o'clock at night. And I know you're not supposed to eat after 11 o'clock at night, but I was doing well. I was like, good enough, things are okay. And then just 11 o'clock, I was like, I'm really hungry and I'm wide awake. So anyway, I could add it on to today, but it was before I went to sleep and it was before midnight. So anyway, moving on. Trying to get it back to where I was. If you have one of those days where you do go over, if you try to make up for it, then that sort of, in my head anyway, would give me license to do it again. And just say, okay, well, then I can have one of those days, and I'll just do twice the exercise, and I'll make up for it, so that at the end of the week, my calories even out. And while, numbers-wise, that does work, practically speaking, it won't. And it does. It sets that stage to say, okay, well, once a week I can have a cheat day, which is not a good thing. But having one of those days, and like I say, I don't remember, I'm going to say that the 200 calorie over a day was, say, a month ago. Having one a month, it's probably not good. But considering when you look at, okay, well, over half a year, I've had 6 days where I went over what I should be doing. When you put it into perspective that way, it's not bad. It could be much, much worse. And I don't think I've done it 6 times since we started. I may have. You never know. For those of you that are out there that have, just look at it over the course of a year and say, okay, well, if you did this for a full year, all right, and you had one day a month where you did that, I'm not advocating it. I'm not saying that we should pick one day a month and say, this is my cheat day every single month. But when you look at that, then you can say, well, out of the 365 days, I was on target for 353 of them. That's really good. That's still much better than us eating that way for 353 more days. So keep things in perspective. And I know it's difficult to take your own advice, and I've got to sort of do this myself. But if something happens that you do fall off the wagon, don't worry. Just take the next day and say, I'm going to go back on track to what I was doing before. Not going to go overboard. You don't want to say, well, then I need to starve myself today, or I need to, double the activity I'm doing at the gym. Whatever it is that you're doing, just get back on track normally to what we've been doing to maintain that diet. Well, you know what I mean. I didn't mean to use that word. To maintain that balanced, healthy eating. There we go. When I use the term diet, I don't, in that context, I mean a proper balanced diet. I don't mean, okay, we're going on a diet tomorrow. But I think you probably know what I mean. Anyway, figured I would share that. And hey, look at that. I guess I found a topic anyway. because I can't, as I say, I can't really sort of sit here and say, no, everything is great. Let's be all motivated and everything is great. And in my head, I'm just going, you fat shit. You had a day where you just ate everything, it seems. And in my head, I want to say, I'm looking at it going, it's still not the same. I ate the amount over the course of the day that I could have easily eaten in one meal 6 months ago. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I would have had, half a dozen sausages and macaroni and cheese and hot dogs and everything else, and then just napped, just going to bed for the day. So, I mean, in my head, there is that part of it as well, saying, it is still better than what you were doing. It's not good, obviously. There's no way I can sugarcoat it, because I'd eat that too. Ba-dum-bum. But there's no way that I can look at the situation and say, well, there's a positive spin on it. There isn't. I overate, I went overboard, I did something I shouldn't have done. But that's where it ends. Not going to beat myself up over it. Just get back on track the way I should be. And, yeah. So there you go. Anytime I have a day like that, obviously I'm going to share it with you, because it's one of those things that it is discouraging when you're watching someone do something, and if they're having success in what they're doing, and even if it's a tiny amount, even if it's half a pound over a week, whatever they're doing, if you're sitting there and you're not getting it, you're not connecting, because you're saying, well, they aren't having the same issues, they aren't having those days where they just want to eat everything and then eventually do. It is sort of discouraging. So don't get discouraged. There's every one of us that is doing this. We are all going through this. We all, even 6 months in, are having days when we go, I really shouldn't have eaten that. Need to sort of get back to where I was. So don't beat yourself up. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm going to leave this one here because I've already repeated myself 2 or 3 times. Pretty sure. And I'm going to continue to do so. So, thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, keep yourself warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.